Welcome to the orientation to the Digital Literacy Curriculum Resources for Coaching. This video is 30 minutes long. You don't have to watch the video in one sitting. You can pause it and resume later. When you finish watching the video, the passwords to the website containing the materials you need for coaching will be shared with you. The coaching resources are for coaches to use when coaching learners in digital skills. Here's an overview of the resources. They consist of the following: Modules 1 to 8 of the ISS of BC Digital Literacy Curriculum Resource. We call this DLCR for short, and will refer to it as such in this course. There is also another module that was created for the Community Living BC, or CLBC, Digital Literacy Training Project. Developed by the ISS of BC Digital Literacy team, this was funded by a grant from Community Living BC and is geared to CLBC eligible individuals and self-advocates, but is in fact useful for many other learners. The DLCR focuses, for the most part, on using computers to build digital literacy, as that is what is needed for the workplace and is best for study. However, another project funded by the Government of British Columbia developed resources for learning how to use mobile phones. This was to meet the need of learners who only had a phone to access services. Because iPhones and iPads are similar, for learners using iPads, these lessons may be of use. All of these resources are available to anyone who has access to the ISS of BC Digital Literacy website. Here are a few more details about the components of these modules. Modules 1 to 8. We will look at some of these more closely in a moment, but in a snapshot, each module includes a lesson and materials, which consist of visuals and handouts. There are also tasks and extra practice activities, or EPAs for short. The employment module is a review module with a focus on employment. It has a different format than modules 1 to 8 because it was specifically created in response to the needs assessment done in 2021 for the CLBC Digital Literacy Training Project. One of the main differences is that the teaching part of the lessons is in videos. Another difference is the format. Each lesson is a PowerPoint slideshow that includes everything: lesson notes, suggested instructional language, the links to the video lessons, and also practice activities. As just mentioned, it is a review module. It assumes the learner already has some digital skills. The Digital Literacy Curriculum Resource, or DLCR, is housed on a website. This slide shows the homepage of the ISS of BC Digital Literacy website. The main resource, the DLCR, was created in 2019 to support adult refugee and immigrant learners who were struggling with basic digital literacy in order to help them on the road to some measure of digital independence. ISS of BC partnered with the UBC Learning Exchange to develop the resource, and Dion Pellon, the coordinator of computer and drop-in programs at the UBC Learning Exchange, helped the team understand all the discrete skills that make up digital tasks and shared proven successful methods for teaching digital literacy that we could use and adapt for newcomers with English as an additional language. While this curriculum was built for newcomers, it has also been used successfully across Canada with a range of learners whose native language is English, including seniors and others seeking to increase their digital literacy. It is important to note that English is not being taught in this curriculum. Digital skills are. Let's look at the homepage for a moment. 2 tabs on the home page are password protected, so that the resources will not be accessed randomly by learners. These are the For Trainers tab and the For Learners tab at the top. For Trainers includes all the materials you, as the coach, will use directly with the learner. Lessons, materials, and tasks to be used to teach digital skills. This tab also contains other resources useful to the coach. The For Learners tab includes what we call the Extra Practice Activities, or EPAs for short. These are intended for use by the learner after being taught the skills. We'll look at those later. The passwords for these two tabs are shared with nonprofit organizations and given freely to any publicly funded organization that asks through the contact page, which is here. Under Digital Literacy at ISS of BC, there is information about who is involved in the projects and the research behind the DLCR. Under this on the homepage is best practices information connected to the different resources. This information is accessible to anyone. No password is needed. At the bottom of the homepage are links to the For Trainers and For Learners pages. However, there are also tabs for these at the top of the homepage. At the very bottom of the homepage are testimonials from coaches across Canada who have used the resources with success. To get a clearer picture of an individual's digital abilities and gaps, the Digital Literacy Curriculum resource comes with suggestions as well as tools for doing needs assessment of learners. These are in the Needs Assessment tab in For Trainers and consist of instructions and the Diagnostic Needs Assessment, or DNA tool for short. The DNA tool consists of online interactive diagnostic activities, rubrics for the assessor, and self-assessment for learners. The Diagnostic Needs Assessment gives coaches, teachers, and programs a starting point for teaching digital skills. So let's have a look at the Digital Literacy Curriculum resource itself. The DLCR consists of 8 modules. You can see them here in the slide. Modules 1 to 8 cover a range of digital skills which are essential to building a foundation of digital literacy. Each module builds on the one before it. The modules start from the very basic mouse and navigating and move through keyboarding, online skills, to email. After email, there is one module on basic skills for using a mobile phone. In Module 7, learners become aware of some critical safety and security strategies for using the internet and email. And then there's the last module, number 8, which is Zoom on Computer. You will see that the lessons for each module are written to be accessible for learners operating at English levels ranging from literacy to Canadian Language Benchmarks, CLB, level 6. As some of you know, CLBs are a national framework used to describe a person's English language skills in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. In the DLCR, suggested instructional language is included in the lessons to assist the instructor with teaching digital concepts at the appropriate level. What is important to know is that the digital skills in each level are very similar. The higher CLB level lessons have higher level English, and at times, a bit more digital task complexity. Literacy CLB 1 and CLB 2 and 3 include more visuals in some modules than the higher CLBC levels. Because of this, they are a good choice for many learners, including those with higher oral CLB skills but lower literacy. Each lesson follows the same format. You can see the sample page on the slide here. The beginning of each lesson has the following. Learning objectives. This is a list of the digital skills that will be learned and practiced in the lesson in the order that they will be learned and practiced. Prerequisite skills. This is an inventory of digital skills that learners will need to have already mastered in order to do the current lesson. When covering best practices, we stress the importance of being aware of those. Lesson preparation instructions with any relevant notes to the instructor needed. And a list of essential materials needed for the lesson. Visuals, handouts, etc. This, of course, makes it easier for the coach to be prepared. Let's look for a moment at the lessons. Each lesson progresses systematically through the series of digital skills listed in the learning objectives for the module. Each digital skill has a learning objective stating what the learners will be able to do by the end, and lists key digital vocabulary for the lesson. Of course, as the best practices say, this vocabulary is taught in context during demonstration of the skills. Each of the digital skills in the lesson begins with a Learn section, which shows the instructor how to teach and demonstrate the digital skill with the use of the included visuals and handouts. As mentioned previously, the Learn section also includes suggested instructional language that is appropriate for the CLB level of the lesson. This is written in blue, in italics, making it really easy to see and follow. This language is given as a guide only, to help with making the digital concepts accessible to the learners. It is not meant to be read verbatim by coaches. After digital skill instruction is given in the Learn section, there is a Practice section for guided practice of the new skill with the aid of handouts. In some cases, there is a Your Turn section, in which learners do more practice or apply new digital skills to their own needs. When learners have finished a module, a practical digital literacy task in the last part of the lesson allows the coach and learner to assess the learner's new skills. Here are a few examples of some of the materials used in the lessons. The one on the left is from Module 7, Safety and Security, and as you see, is about phishing do's and don'ts. As you can see in the top right corner, it is designed for CLB 2-3. The image on the right has the steps for using the address bar, one of the discrete skills taught in Module 3, Online Skills Basics. This is geared to CLB 1 literacy. You can see that there is not much text, and what text there is plain language. The ISS of BC team has tried to include lots of images and also intentionally made the layout as clean as possible with lots of white space on the page. This makes it easier for learners, especially those with reading challenges. These are just some examples from the material section for each module. Here are a few more examples. Some of the materials are called visuals, while others are called handouts. Visuals are for the coach to use during the session, but not necessarily to give to the learner. Handouts are designed to be handed out to the learner to keep and use. All of the materials are in PDF format and can be used electronically or photocopied. Visuals and handouts are, of course, useful tools to aid understanding and also to foster independence in learning. The DLCR includes lots of step-by-step how-to instructions based around visuals. These are useful for teaching for you as a coach with your learners and as handouts for practice to give to the learner if it is feasible for your organization. If you do decide to give paper handouts, we recommend doing so after you have used them with the learner in the coaching session so you can model how to use them step by step. So we've shown you a bit of what the DLCR includes. Now, let's open it on the website and show you how to access it and find the components you need for coaching learners. Then we'll look at how to use one of the modules from 1 to 8. Today, we'll find and open Module 3, Online Skills Basics, as an example. You can see the website address in the slide here. Let's go to that now. So here is the home page. To access the lesson and materials for coaching, go to the For Trainers tab here and click on it. After entering the password, it takes you to this page. Scroll down to Materials and click on Learn More. The default is Computer. You can see that it's arranged by language level, CLB1 Literacy, CLB2, 3, CLB4, CLB5, 6, and the Employment Review module at the end. Let's look inside CLB1 Literacy. Inside each language level, you find the same list of modules, modules 1 to 8. Let's look at one module. Inside each module, there are 3 sections: lessons, visuals, and tasks. Let's close this now. This is materials for CLB1 Literacy. Let's look now at the CLB2-3 version of the Module 3 Online Skills Basics. Go back and find CLB2-3, click on it, then find Module 3 Online Skills Basics. Click on it. You see the lesson and the visuals. These are in separate tabs. You need to download both the lesson and the visuals. I'm opening them in Adobe. Because they are both PDFs, after you download and open them on your computer, you can easily switch from one to the other while coaching. Let's look at the lesson. Before using this with the learner, of course, you need to read through it completely, so you are familiar with the instructional steps and the supporting material to use, but also to know what you need to prepare in advance. For example, under Preparation, here, it says, place one or more internet browser icons on the desktop and pin 1 or 2 icons to the taskbar on each computer. Under Materials, it includes what's needed for the module and the names of the visuals and handouts. These are also named in the lesson in the part that requires them. Each module starts with a short introduction. Here it is for online skills. Then, each module has a brief review related to the lesson. For this module, it's a review of cursor skills. Then, Digital Skill 1 starts. Identify different browsers. There is specific information for the teacher or coach relevant to the lesson. Then, there are objectives for this part of the module. For this skill, they are to recognize icons for different browsers and identify, open, and close a browser. Some vocabulary is listed. This is for reference for the coach. Do you recall what the best practices say? Do not spend lots of time teaching vocabulary. Learners will learn what they need when doing the skills. Remember, you are teaching skills, not content. In the Learn section, you can see there are instructions to the coach of what to do and the name of the visual or handout to use. For example, projector show on your computer, Module 3, CLB 23, Digital Skill 1, Learn, Visual, Identify different browsers. As mentioned earlier, there's also instructional language, what to say to the learner. This is in blue or green italics to stand out, so it's easy to follow. The instructional language is suggested only. It doesn't need to be read verbatim, but it does break down each discrete skill and show how to convey it simply to the learner. For example, here, do you know these? These are browsers. This is a browser. This is a browser. Repeat, browser. Which browser do you use? Show me. Adjust the language according to your learner. After the Learn section, the demonstration, the learner then does some practice. Sometimes there are more than one practice activity. Here is an example. Have students practice opening and closing different browsers from the desktop or from the taskbar to see the different ways to open. The lesson continues with the next digital skill, including the objectives, information for the teacher, vocabulary, and the Learn section. Here are the browser commands that are covered. And then there is the practice. There are instructions and the name of the visual or handout that is to be used. Here, for example, they use Module 3, CLB 2.3, Digital Skill 2, Learn Handout, No Common Browser Commands. Let's look at that handout for a moment. Here it is. Let's go back to the lesson. So this format is repeated for all the skills listed at the beginning of the module under Learning Objectives. So, that is an example of what a lesson and some of the accompanying materials look like. Of course, you will need to spend time on the website to get familiar with locating the lessons and materials and downloading and opening them. That will make your coaching sessions more relaxed, smooth, and efficient. You'll be able to easily access what you need and focus your energy on the coaching. One of the most exciting parts of the digital literacy curriculum resource are the extra practice activities for learners. We call them EPAs for short. The EPAs are online activities that allow the learner to practice, to repeat key components of lessons over and over until they feel more confident. For example, learners can practice clicking on a file and dragging and dropping it into a folder, or navigating to and typing in the address bar of an internet browser. It is important to note that extra practice activities are intended to be provided to learners after instruction and support have been given by an instructor in a face-to-face learning or tutoring situation. EPAs do not take the place of methodic, step-by-step instruction and practice in tutoring sessions. Do not have the learner use EPAs before they receive tutoring in the skills in that module. It may cause them to feel frustrated and discouraged instead of gaining more skills and confidence. Do use them after you have taught the skills in the relevant module and after you have opened and demonstrated to the learner how to use the EPA. After that, learners can then use the EPAs at home or at a library or other location offering computer and internet access. To do that, you would share the link to the EPA and password with them. The EPAs are designed as part of the DLCR because it is a tool that would enable the learner to learn and practice more independently. Let's look more closely so you can get an idea of their scope and what they involve. This slide shows the modules that have EPAs. There are quite a few. Using the mouse, using the keyboard, using the address bar, navigating to a website, etc. Let's go to the website and open one now. Click on the For Learners tab here. Enter the password. Choose For Computer. And then the CLB level you want. Let's look at CLB 1, Literacy. And choose the module you want. We'll look at Module 1, Mouse. Let's open it and take a look. Click here, and then it opens in another tab in the browser. And now click on the play icon to start the EPA activity.
Watch. Hold the mouse. Watch. Move the mouse. This is the cursor. The mouse moves. The cursor moves. Practice. Move the mouse.
Notice the clear format. There is not much text. There are simple, clear visuals. It is easy to use. There is demonstration followed by the learner interacting with the tool to practice. For example, right now, this is my cursor moving to do the activity.
Practice. Move the mouse.
Notice also that the icons used are common icons that learners will see when using the computer and being online.
Watch. One click. Watch. Click on the picture. One click. Practice. Watch. Double click. 2 clicks. Watch. Double click on the picture. 2 clicks.
Is the learner finished using the APA? Then they just click on the X in the Browser tab. So that is one EPA for learners to use. Remember that the learner can use this after you have taught the skills and after they have done the practice in the lesson. This EPA is practicing mouse skills. As you saw in the slide earlier, there are EPAs for almost all modules and all CLB levels. The EPAs do work best in Google Chrome. So if you open it in another browser and it has some glitches, we suggest closing it and opening it in Chrome. Our goal in designing these and making them available is to empower learners. The EPAs offer them the opportunity to practice independently, to increase their digital skills, and to gain confidence. In this orientation to the digital literacy curriculum resources for coaching, we've looked at the core components the coach will use in the coaching sessions. Of course, as a coach, spending time on the website to get more familiar with accessing and using the resources is key. It will help make the coaching sessions go more smoothly and allow you to focus your energy on supporting the learner.